Example. So Mike loves T-Bird uses 6 gallons of gasoline to drive 141 miles. He wants to know exactly how much gasoline he's going to need to drive 275 miles. So let's look at our two comparisons. So we're using the same car on both. So that's why we're able to compare two rates here. So we've got that 6 gallons of gasoline is going to drive us 141 miles. So it doesn't matter which one you put on top and the bottom as long as we label them. Let's put the 6 that are gallons on top. And I'll put the 141 miles on the bottom. The question is, what else do we have? Well, we also have that we're looking for how many gallons he'll need to drive 275 miles. So, right off the bat, we don't know how many gallons of gasoline he's going to need. So the gallons goes on the top. That's the thing we don't know. How far does he want to drive on those gallons of gas? He wants to drive how many miles? 275. Those are going to go on the bottom because we said we were going to put our miles on the bottom. So let's solve our proportion. We need to cross multiply, which starts with the 275 times 6, which is, 275 times 6 is 1650. Equals, on the other side, we're going to have our, 141 times x, so 141x. So how do you solve this equation? Well, we need to get x by itself by dividing both sides by 141. So 1650 divided by 141 gives us x equals 11.7. And again, he said round to the nearest tenth. That's why we went out to tenths place. So our final answer is 11.7. It was on top, so it's in gallons. Don't forget that you do need to put units for your final answers. These are word problems. Now, this last problem might appear to be different, but it's actually not, because you have two triangles. They're called similar triangles. Why are they called similar triangles? Because they look similar. They look the same. So they're just stretched out versions of one another. So they're called similar triangles. When we have similar triangles, we can actually compare them using a proportion. You just have to match up the corresponding sides of the triangles. So, the problem is when you set up your proportion, you only need 4 sides. How many sides do you have between the two triangles? You have 6. So, what's cool, you can pick out the easiest sides to compare. So, let's see. The first pair of sides that I want to compare together is the easiest, the ones with just the normal numbers, the 4 and the 3. So we'll start out with the side 4 on our bigger triangle, and we'll start out with our side 3 that matches up with it on the smaller triangle. And then we need to do the same thing with 2 other sides. It doesn't matter which other 2 sides. I'm going to pick the easiest. I'd rather not go with the fraction, so let's pick the 5y minus 2. And what's going to match with that is the 2y plus 2. So let's go ahead and use that. So on the big triangle, we're going to choose 5y minus 2 and 2y plus 2. How do you solve this? The same as before, cross multiply. So the first thing, we're going to do the 5y minus 2 times the 3. That means the 3 has to get multiplied by all of the 5y minus 2 we're going to distribute, which will give us 15y minus 6. Okay, that's only half of our proportion. You still have to do the other side, which means I have to multiply the 2y plus 2 to the 4. So I've got a 4 times our 2y plus 2, which again means I need to distribute. This time we're distributing a 4. That will get us 8y plus 8. So now we've got a normal equation. How do we solve it? Let's get the y's on the same side by subtracting the 8y from both sides. And let's get the numbers on the other side, so we'll add 6 to both sides to move the numbers over to the other side. That will get us a 7y on the left and a 14 on the other. Continuing, we'll divide both sides by 7. And that gets us that y equals 2. That's only part of our answer. They did want what y equals, but they also wanted what the actual sides are, which means I need to plug in the y equals 2. So what happens when I plug in this y equals 2? Well, if I plug in the y equals 2 onto this first side, I get, I get 5 times 2 minus 2. Well, 5 times 2 is 10. Minus 2 is 8. On this next one, on the other triangle on the same side, I'll get 2 times 2 plus 2. Well, 2 times 2 will get you 4, plus 2 will get you 6. Now on this side, it's not going to be pretty for your first big triangle. Plugging in the 2 for y gets you 16 over 3, and that's just a fraction. You can't reduce that, so you're stuck with it. Same side on the smaller triangle would be giving us 2 times 2, which is 4. And that's all 6 sides of our triangle using the y equals 2. And we're done.